Mentoring and cross-departmental training or even shadowing can better help people to understand the entire ecosystem that is their company.
I have one company. I do not see employees leaving them ever. And I know the culture of that company is why they don't leave.
Really keeps your people happy and whole and with you.
You already have a good candidate pool that started to develop if you're willing to take a little bit more time and impart some knowledge.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. I'm so glad to bring you guys our newest episode of Built for Growth. I have two great guests here with me today. First is Kyesha Robinson. She is the Managing Officer of the Workforce Innovation at Pinellas Technical College, and Natasha Sherwood, the Executive Director for Independent Electrical Contractors of Florida on the West Coast chapter. Both of you, welcome. It's great to see you guys.
Thank you.
So happy to be here talking about such a really important topic. And I'm so grateful that one of our partners, Ms. Sherwood, was able to be here to represent.
I think for the audience and the people that are here, it would be great if you guys could maybe take 2 or 3 minutes and just explain a little bit about each of your organization, who you are, how you got into it, maybe a little bit about the specifics of the organization, active things that are happening now, and of course, how you guys know each other too. And then we can start diving into some of the topics. I'll let you guys arm wrestle over who goes first, but don't make me pick.
Kyesha, why don't you go first, because then you can go in, we'll talk about our partnership towards the end.
Yes. Again, my name is Kyesha Robinson, and I am the Managing Officer of Workforce Innovation. Pretty long title, but the work that we do in this department is marketing and advertising, and then intentional recruitment of individuals who are interested in or may not even know about the opportunities that await for them in technical and vocational trades. There are 2 campuses that this department serves with Pinellas Technical College. One is in Clearwater, the other is in St. Petersburg. At this point, we have over 50 different career technical education programs that we offer to the community, as well as a host of apprenticeship opportunities that we have with our employer partners. And we also enter into strategic partnerships with different components in different parts of the community and business industry as needed. So again, very happy to be here and look forward to being a part of the discussion and having Ms. Sherwood, one of our partners with IEC, to talk more about our relationship as well.
So my name's Natasha Sherwood, and I'm the Executive Director, as you said, of IEC. We don't do the whole long name either. It's way too long. So IEC,
I already butchered that one.
Yeah, it's okay. I do too. Is an association. It's a national organization, and we are the Florida West Coast chapter, and we are pretty much the entire state from Tallahassee across to Jacksonville down, except for about 5 counties on the East Coast in South East Florida. But we do things for all of our contractors, so they're all independent contractors across the state. But the largest portion that we do is our apprenticeship program, and PTC is one of our largest partners. So we have over 400 apprentices each year across the state. Tallahassee Community College, HCC, Ridge Tech, and Travis Tech in Polk, Marchman Tech in Pasco, and right down the street at Pinellas Technical College and Clearwater. We have almost 150 students right there in Clearwater. And it's a 4-year program. One of the greatest parts, we'll probably get into it, is the students don't pay anything to tuition. It's done through their partners and their contractors. So PTC helps fund this amazing 4-year education for them and their contractor employer. And these students graduate in 4 years with making more than most of us make, and skills that are, as we've all learned, essential. They go on to make some really great careers for themselves. And so it's been a really neat, I've only been here about a year, and it is one of my new found passions. I was a principal before, so this is just a continuing passion of mine, is that education for students. And like Kyesha said, in areas that sometimes students don't realize is an option.
That is really cool. I'm coming from the other side of it, talking to actual clients of ours that own their own subcontracting companies, many electrical companies, but even all the other trades. And one of their biggest problems is skilled labor. They just have a real issue finding not only labor, but good labor. And even sometimes, as one of my clients says, Scott, at this point, yes, I love good labor, but I just need labor. And even if someone's not trained or educated, at least if they are willing and able and capable, we'll train them or we'll find some training for them. How do you guys feel the role of apprenticeship programs like this has either evolved or changed or will need to change to meet today's kind of need in the world?
I think it definitely will. It's definitely grown just in the time I've been here, but prior to that, I was working with a local chamber on the lack of skilled labor, specifically in the Tampa Bay metro area and how low it was. One of the services we offer our members is trying to find them people to hire. And as you mentioned, they'd love to find a journeyman electrician. That is a unicorn. What they're happy to find is someone that's willing to work and learn. And so the apprenticeship program, I think in general will grow. I think obviously our governor has put a really high priority on it with the Pathways to Career Grant. And also I think what you'll start seeing is these pre-apprenticeship programs growing and trying to really work with students in high schools to be able to provide this as an option. And I think that's one of the biggest things we see is that really our students being presented the option of career and technical education, and that a four-year college degree, not only is it not necessary, it's not the right path for everyone, and not just kids. They sometimes used to think that career and technical education was if you couldn't get into college. But I think what I saw as a high school principal, as well as now, it could be for the valedictorian who loves doing hands-on and really wants to go into an industry where you can make $100,000 a year with zero debt. So I think that we will continue to see it grow because of finances, because of 2020, and because of that lack of skilled labor is so huge. We've just lost a whole era of that skilled labor of that has retired. We have more electricians retire every day than we can replace.
Kyesha, are you seeing similar issues from on your end in the specific apprenticeship program? Have you seen enrollment up or bigger changes? Is there anything that's gone on in the actual facility that's been helpful or harmful?
Absolutely. And Ms. Sherwood made a number of wonderful points that we all are experiencing and observing here in technical education as well. So we do know that we have an aging workforce, and individuals who've been those faithful employees for all those years are entering or nearing retirement. And that gap there is ever increasing. There's a decrease in employment in some sectors of industry. Not only does that mean that the labor capital is leaving, but that institutional knowledge is being lost along with it. So talk about that unicorn. We also know that there are some younger generations that are more likely and more readily transition from one opportunity to the next in favor of a host of conditions that best suit their personal needs. And so individuals are not always maintaining long relationships with some employers because they take advantage of the opportunity to find what works for them. And so this can make it very difficult for industries to acquire and maintain relationships with employees. And with all of that changing happening, our industries are continuing to expand and grow. There's no decrease in demand for electricians, for example, or in building construction. So these are the types of situations that make it critical for all companies to really consider having some kind of apprenticeship program. Apprenticeships are a tool that employers can use to take advantage of assets that they already have and then to attract some that they need. Having an apprenticeship program demonstrates to others that you have a culture that believes in investing in its own personnel. And I think apprenticeship supports sustainability and growth. So by having these apprenticeship programs, you are able to attract these new employees that have some wonderful entry-level skills to get themselves in the door. And then you can provide some additional years of training that will make them best suited to meet whatever your needs are, to broaden their abilities and to improve their skills and make them more useful in your industry. And I think it helps companies when they have apprenticeships because instead of looking externally, they can look down their own channels and into their own departments to identify apprenticeship graduates at some point who are more than ready to fill some of their workforce needs.
So if I'm thinking about it from a business owner looking and what we talked about, kind of like one of our clients, they have this issue and they need new labor and they say, you know what, I love this apprenticeship program, but what do I do? How do I start? Do I have to start it myself? Do I find someone to partner with like you guys? And, here in Florida, it's great for all of our local customers. They can go right to you, but we see clients all over the country. So if I was a business owner and talking to you guys, how do I start an apprenticeship program Is that a large investment on my part? Is it better just to partner with one of you guys and say, hey, here it is, and I have a budget for it, and please you train my folks or help me train people? How does that work?
Well, I'd say we welcome, both myself and Ms. Sherwood, we welcome anyone that wants to partner with us to develop an apprenticeship all their own. So contacting your local technical college or your local trade or professional association would probably be a great first step for anyone who's interested in establishing an apprenticeship with their company or organization. I mean, there's no need to recreate the wheel when there's something that you can join and be a part of that already exists, or has a model or template that can be adjusted to fit whatever your needs for training or apprenticeship may actually be. So I would recommend that a person kind of start there with their local technical college, trade school, or professional or trade associations. There are also the Department of Education, is an institution that every state has. So for us, it's the Florida Department of Education. And if you want more information, maybe you don't even know where to start with your local organizations, maybe just reach out to that state level. Everyone has a website. Ours is FLDOE. And by going to that website, I know that they will definitely have information on apprenticeships and how to be a part of one that is registered by going through that channel.
Yeah, it's very similar. So obviously, if you're an electrician in Florida, we'd love to help you out. But we also are a national organization. So the Department of Labor nationally kind of oversees apprenticeships, but each state has plenty of their own rules. So I know Oregon is way different than Texas, is way different than Florida, is even different than Georgia. And so individual states are going to have a few different rules. In some places, it falls under DOE, Department of Education, like it does for us. Some places it's Department of Labor. Some places has workforce. So I would say that either starting with those technical colleges or community colleges in the area, that's usually where the programs already exist, or again, going to your Department of Labor or Education is a great place to start. And I would say there are some benefits if you're going to a technical college or to an association that already has one, because a lot of the just the minutia, the details are already set up, the accreditation, the certifications of it, the guidelines. I mean, I would just reach out to the resources that you have. And last week I had a national home builder in my office saying my subs don't have enough people. So I can't get my houses built because they can't get the drywall up and the concrete. And I said, okay, I don't do drywall and concrete, but let's find out who does. So together we reached out, and we reached out to PTC and to HCC. We reached out to some associations that even we're a member of. So iBuild and some other places to find those resources. And I think what we found is that everybody's willing to help each other, because my electricians can't get done if the walls aren't done. The walls can't get done if my electricians don't get done. They can't get it done if the framing's not put up. So everybody realizes that it is a group project. It is the group project from high school. If everybody doesn't do their job, you don't get the grade you wanted. And PTC's organized a lot of it, but sometimes it's been HCC or the home builders group. Sit down in a room and figure out how do we help, because there just aren't enough bodies that we can find right now. So the best way is how to service them and work together. And if electricity is not right for someone, but they really do like a trade, I can call up one of my contacts at one of my locations and say, okay, let's get them in somewhere. They love this program. And so we've kind of grown up, but then right now we're trying to grow down. We're working with high schools and middle schools where they're starting to see those ideas, because if you wait till their senior year, it's not necessarily been something that's been proposed to them or they've considered. So I'd say though, the step, going back to your question, apprenticeships, is really do reach out to I think probably your first step easiest is those local community colleges or technical colleges or your association. So whether it's home builders, general contractors, ABC, IEC, there's a different letter combination for everybody, I think.
This may seem like a silly question, but is there a difference between a registered apprenticeship program and a non-registered one?
There are some differences in it, and ours is registered because it leads to the journeyman certificate. And based on the hours in the apprenticeship program, if you were you're an electrician, you didn't go through an apprentice program, you have to do 12,000 documented hours of on-the-job training before you can take the journeyman's license exam. As an apprentice, because all of our everything's gone through and certified, we've got all of our courses and kind of guidelines set through the Department of Education. Those students only have to have 8,000 hours. So give or take, that's saving you 4,000 hours, which is 2 or so years of labor where you can get your journeyman's license. But I also know someone who runs a great crane training individuals to be crane operators, which again, you don't think of it like that doesn't cross your mind like in kindergarten. What do I want to be? I want to be a crane operator when I grow up. Right. But they make great money. I told him, I do have a first grader, and I told him he should be an electrician or a crane operator because he gets math and he likes messing up things with his hands. And theirs isn't a registered one because there's not a registered one with the state yet. They are moving that way. We need them. They're still hiring them. There's just not a registration for it yet. So those are some of the main differences. That's all I know on my end. She probably knows a little bit more than I do from a larger standpoint on that.
Oh, I would have to agree with what your observations were about registered apprenticeships, because that is the direction that PTC has chosen to go in, especially because we are associated with the Pinellas County school system. So we definitely offer registered apprenticeships to individuals. We pride ourselves on making sure that whatever persons in their programs with, it's something that translates to industry. It is in alignment with industry standards, so that whatever certification or license they walk away with is something that's nationally recognized when possible, when applicable. And so all of our apprenticeships would be registered.
And I think we'll see more apprentice programs pop up that'll take that time to get in, because I know PTC is even working on some innovative apprenticeship programs for teachers, not the same typical 4-year education, 6-year education college that we've seen for so long. I know they're being innovative California has like apprenticeship programs for like lawyers and stuff. Like coming into new ways where we will learn in a more practical mindset. I went to college for way too many years. I'm not doing anything that has to do with anything in my degree. But I think we will see more of that as people start to realize what they want to do, and there may be different paths. As the technical world evolves and skilled labor becomes more important, I think we'll see apprenticeships rise.
As you guys talk, I'm hearing things that I've been having conversations before. I'm hearing from clients, I'm hearing from referral partners of ours or other folks that are working in and around the construction industry, even general contractor clients. And they talk a lot about apprenticeship programs and mentorship programs. And I need to start a mentorship program so I can work with the younger businesses, not by age, but just by maybe experience, so I can help graduate these people that are really, really good, but they do these size jobs. And I want to give them a job that's 5 times the size. What do you guys, or what is your experience or opinions between mentorship and apprenticeship programs?
You're talking about students or employees that go from a smaller job to a large job. We have an apprentice, a 4th-year apprentice, who's a year ago is an apprentice. Now he's doing a huge hospital site, and his hospital just, the site he was on just won a national award. So because he's been mentored and because they've moved through those steps. And I think mentorship becomes the personal aspect of it that maybe isn't written down so much. It's just more part of the culture. But I also see the mentorship company to company. So some of our larger, more established companies, I have seen them invite in contractors that are smaller or newer, or go out and tell them and share best practices, because as they better the industry as a whole, and as they mentor other corporations to follow those cultures, I think the industry as a whole begins to be able to hire, and it goes into the workforce. Is the better the industry is, the better reputation it has, the more everybody can find better employees, And let's be honest, part of it is so that mom and dad, when the kid's in high school and he says, I want to go into skilled labor, doesn't go, what? Yeah. College. And, you're like, okay, great. $30 an hour in 4 years and 0 debt. Sounds good to me, because I have a senior going to college and it's expensive. And I'm like, sure, you don't want to be an electrician? You're a female. You'd be like right up there in like no time flat. So, and the mentorship is a large portion of that.
It's funny because we have 2 series. This is our Built for Growth series, which really brings in different topics. And then we sort of have what we call real MFers, and obviously it's a pun on mobilization funding, but they come on and there are clients or there are other folks that are in the construction world. One gentleman named Charles Covey, he talks about this unicorn in his business, and he does waterproofing. And he's like, there's really not a lot of good apprenticeship programs, so he has to focus a ton on training and build that within. And he says one of the things he does is he has an apprenticeship program training, but then he immediately puts them with a mentor or someone that's at a senior level and experience on the job together. And I said, well, that's interesting. Do you have enough of those? He goes, well, no, I have essentially one unicorn who knows everything about everything, no matter what, every problem, all that. We're trying to extract as much information out of that person's brain before they leave or before they retire. And he's like, they just don't have this education level anymore. So he's had to build this whole thing around these unicorns. And he talked about that. Do you feel it's the same in the electrical world or other trades? And how do you guys kind of utilize your programs to find that knowledge?
Right. And I know that mentoring is, for some companies, in closer reach, easier to achieve than the investment that apprenticeships may require, whether they're registered or not. But it's something, mentoring is something that everyone can implement if they are willing to commit the time to think about what mentoring would look like or is needed for their employees. And mentoring and cross-departmental training or even shadowing can better help people to understand, and I mean employees better understand the entire ecosystem that is their company, which is all about eliminating the fact that there are some situations where there's a few people who have quite a bit of institutional knowledge that just hadn't been written down or hasn't been shared. So mentoring and cross-training can help to also expose some areas of opportunity within a company and how things can be done a little bit differently or better when everyone, again, understands the full ecosystem and understands what happens in their department as well as what's happening in others. I mean, we're certainly reducing risk by not having this small collective of individuals who are your only go-to persons for certain tasks or when certain vendors need to be called upon or contacts that are needed. So I think also that having these mentoring relationships can give individuals the opportunity to invest in the proliferation of their organization and program, because all the information can't be in your head. It has to be shared. It needs to be written down in a way that's systematic and organized and procedural. So not only is it an investment in your employees, but it's also an investment in yourself in an abstract, kind of way. You don't want for an emergent situation to arise, and that's when you decide, well, maybe we should have had more than one unicorn in the company or in the organization. And I think it also it helps employees to know that they're dealing with an organization that sees value in them. And while there may or may not be an opportunity for them to move into a new position right away, they are seeing that they're being invested in. And so no matter what's happening with that company, they're more likely to soldier on, to remain encouraged, to remain supportive of the brand or that company so that they can continue to be an asset. And then they are there when needed to perhaps step into some greater opportunities. They've had the opportunity to present themselves as wanting to know more and wanting to do more. So you don't feel like, as a business owner, that you have to look outside of what you already have. You already have a good candidate pool that started to develop if you're willing to take a little bit more time and to impart some knowledge onto some new people.
Hire and fire based on your core values, and you'll teach and train all the skills. And what I'm hearing you guys say that so resonates with me well is that this is really it not only is it a recruitment tool, but it's really it keeps your people happy and whole and with you. And in a world where there's not a lot of labor, employers really need to make sure their game is on point, because one, that's how you should run your business anyway. But number two, you're going to lose people. They're going to have a lot of options, and people are going to recruit, and they're going to go, and more importantly, they're going to stay where they're taken care of, and they're treated the best. And it's not all about money. It's a lot about education. It's about values, about what they stand for. Are they aligned with the thoughts and vision? Or does it feel like it's very transparent? And what I'm hearing you guys say is these two programs, both the apprenticeship and mentorship, they tie into that really well, but in different places. Early on, apprenticeship may be really important, but mentorship is like the second wave of your education, but it's also something to aspire to be when you get to an organization. Well, you know what? I want to be a mentor to the next wave. And it's that progression is really valuable, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, we have an Apprentice of the Year competition every year. So they take an academic test, and the top 10 get to do a hands-on test. And then the winner actually goes to a national competition. And I got to spend time with our young man this year, and we were sitting and chatting. He's like, Ms. Sherwood, I want to teach. Do you think I could teach? I'm like, you were signed up to teach our mid-year class. He's like, I just learned so much. I remember, and I remember this instructor. I remember the very first class I went in, and everything he taught me. I know I can do that for someone else. And I was like, spot on, you're hired. He's like, for real? I'm like, for real, right? I'm like, right now you're hired. And this is a kid who never missed 4 years, never missed a class, top in his class every year, and finished wire off number one. So really could do anything. Will move up in his company quickly, does not need the extra money for being an instructor, but I definitely think that they realize that culture and that those steps make a difference. And I do like the way you said it, like apprenticeship's kind of the first investment that the company makes into the student. And then the mentorship's kind of the secondary investment. And then the return is when they mentor someone else, it's kind of the repayment of that investment. And so it makes like a nice, good circle going. And I do think that's how you keep, I have one company, I have not see employees leaving them ever. And I know the culture of that company is why they don't leave. They pay well, but they don't pay the highest of all of mine in dollars and cents. They pay well in a culture that is conducive to growing.
It's so interesting to hear how your clients are similar and saying, and you're seeing the same things that I'm seeing, but from a totally different side in the same exact business and industry. Because I try to tell folks all the time, your problems are not alone. Like everybody has them. It's just, they're parts of the business, but you can do things about it. And this is a great tool. I feel like anybody can be a mentor to anyone about whatever it is they know that someone doesn't, and helpful. There's one last topic this is a good segue to, is just continuing education. Depending on the trade, there's some continuing education that is needed and sort of mandated. How does do these apprenticeship programs and also mentorship kind of get credits towards continuing education, or is that all separate classes in the trades? How do they go together, if they go together at all?
For electrical, it is separate. So it's after the fact, and there are requirements from the state. It's 11. It depends on which part of the electrical industry, but for the basic part, it's 11. I mean, there's some specific requirements, just like, so if I used to be an educator, you had to get a certain amount of CEUs. These are specific, and there's some business ones, technical ones. And then if you're in the fire alarm, then there's specific fire alarm. If you're, in HVAC and so forth. So there are certain ones, and we provide, so the association, we do those monthly. So every month we provide free ones for our members. And so it's everything from legal aspects of running a business, like you said. So some of them are business related, to tool safety, OSHA, and there are a certain amount that they have to get every 2 years is the cycle. Those are kind of the required ones, and those are important, don't hear me wrong. But I think the bigger part we offer are ones that aren't necessarily required by state. They still get CEU credit, but it's the ones to make their business better. So whether it's a code change seminar, the electrical code, I'm sure it changes for everything else. Like every 3 years, let's just change the code. So for maybe students who didn't, or electricians who didn't go through the apprentice program, have those 12,000 hours and want to apply for, want to take the test for the journeyman prep, we'll do that kind of CEU. And we'll also do training just on leadership. So it kind of ties into that mentorship program. So now you've been an electrician, you've got, you've done the apprentice program, you've got your journeyman license, you've kind of started moving up. Do you see yourself as a foreman? So the first class will be, what is foreman? What does that include? Like, do you, if it's raining, yeah, you send people home, even your best friend, because that's what a foreman has to do. And then what does a supervisor look like? And then what is, further leadership, as you kind of said, construction, any contractor is a business besides being the trade. So there's HR, there's education and training and public relations and estimating and finance. And so we offer a little bit of all of that. And again, making your company better is investing in the education of those employees. And I think the education part makes them, feel valued. So whether it's bringing them to legal aspects of electricity or it is a fire alarm safety, or is a journeyman or leadership prep.
Yeah, at Pinellas Technical College, we do offer continuing education courses as well. And similarly, they are separate from apprenticeship experiences, as well as from our full-time courses. And we like to refer to these types of courses as lifelong learning experiences. So if we want to support a vibrant workforce that is able to adapt to change and truly recognizes the value in ongoing education, or even seeks to continue to be a part of and support advances in their own technologies and their respective industries, we really have to all continue to be lifelong learners. And that's where that concept comes from. Right. I don't know that you can really have a lot of innovation and creativity or even remain relevant on an ongoing basis if you don't invest in some part in yourself or continuing education or in your employees for the same. So I think that investing in continuing education can help businesses to remain relevant and in step with various changes that are happening in their industry. Just thinking about electricity, we know we've come a very long way since Tesla and Edison, and there's still more to come. So the appetite of consumers, customers, businesses who are, environmentally conscientious is also going to continue to change the way and to create a need for ongoing education as new technologies and new ways of delivering services is happening. So we do offer those continuing education or those lifelong learning courses, and we encourage people to take them, whether it's an obligation to maintain your certification, your credential, or your license or not. It's just something that's good to have if you want to remain a well-rounded and informed employee.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's actually one of our core values of mobilization funding is to be a lifetime learner. You got to continually be educating yourself.
Yeah.
Things change, people change, you become more valuable to yourself, but as you're more valuable to yourself, you're more valuable to everybody.
Well said.
You guys have been awesome. I really appreciate you guys going through this. This has been really great, much more surprising topics and conversation than I thought we'd get into. I like the topics, of course, but I really like where it went. And I'm just shocked at how much it ties into all the conversations I have every single day in just anecdotal ways. And I really feel like if we get this video out for everyone to watch and see, they're going to be able to really have some good tactical action steps of where they can go and where to go next and how to do it. And that's the most important thing that we're trying to help.
I mean, I think that's one of the biggest parts is, I always joke that, I've lived in Tampa my entire life, and I consider us a little, small, big town, but still what resources I didn't know were out there. And, what resources I come across contractors all the time, just like this home builder, large. I mean, if I told you the name, I won't because they'll kill me. Large, builds tons of homes in our area, didn't know what options were out there for like apprenticeship wise and getting people trained. And so houses are behind. And I think sometimes for people just to say, hey, I need some help. What are you doing? And that hasn't necessarily, I think, been, a strong point in construction in general, is because it's been competitive. And I think right now everybody realizes somebody can help them out a little bit. So if anybody ever needs anything, I'm more than happy to reach out. And sometimes it's to PTC and sometimes it's to ABC, and they all seem to be letters, and to find out, where does someone go? And if I don't know the answer, same thing I found with PTC. If they don't know the answer, they're more than willing to help find the right one. Or, hey, you want to start we emailed the head over at PTC, hey, you want to start a new pre-apprenticeship program next year? Yeah, sure. Okay, let's write a grant. So it's all good. And I think that's the neat thing I found in this industry is it is evolving into a help each other out type situation.
Enough can't be said about collaboration. I think gone are the days of operating in silos.
Right.
If there's something that we don't do, just like she shared, we'll partner with whomever to get the job done. And then maybe later on down the road, there's a way for us to adopt some new programs or technologies ourselves. But there's no way that we can continue to serve industries and not have these types of open dialogues and build relationships. We just have to do it.
I'm going to make sure that the audience and everyone knows they can see your guys' email addresses, information right here below on your name. And I think it's in myself as well. And I'm more than happy to speak to anyone at any time they want to reach out and talk. And I know you guys have been very gracious with your time too. And hopefully people will take us up on that.
Absolutely. Feel free.
Thank you very much for allowing us to share on your platform. This has been great.
Well, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much, Natasha. Thank you so much, Kyesha. And please let us know how we can help and enjoy the rest of your afternoon and day. Thank you very much.